All right, welcome to another episode of the Middle-Aged Metalhead. And today we're going to be talking about my top 10 heavy metal reissues of 2022. So let's get started. First up, a couple of CDs. This is the long-awaited reissue of Necrony and their only album, Pathological Performances. And this was put out by Self-Made God Records in a very nice slipcase. So what we've got here is the CD, the slipcase, and musically the band play a sort of death grind that's kind of close to Carcass, but also comes with that very particular Swedish sense of melody, right? And this is the insert. So you've got band photo on the back, you've got some lyrics, and you've also got the full artwork, if you can see that there. And of course, the two guys from the band, Rickard Eriksson and Anders Jacobson, would go on to also be a part of Nasum. And while Necrony fell away after this one album, Nasum would, of course, go on to be grind legends, really. So, yeah, my first pick for my top reissues of the year, Necrony's only full length Pathological Performances. Next up, another CD, long awaited for me. This is the debut album from Bay Area thrash band Violence, originally released back in 1988. And Metal Blade's done a bang up job with this reissue. Really, really good. It comes in a trifold digipack, so you've got the album on CD1 and you've got bonus live material on the second CD. And well, not much to say about Violence really. Eternal Nightmare is an absolute classic and beautifully reproduced Ed Repka artwork there. And there's a slightly blurry band photo as well, where you can see a very young Rob Flynn, I guess. But yeah, very happy with those two. Next up, one of my, I would say, all-time favorite albums. Finally back on vinyl, Alice in Chains' Dirt, originally released in 1992, and for the first time released in a 2 LP set, right? And well, what do you want? Another classic, really. I mean, this album, even more than Facelift, had a little bit of everything, right? You had the hard rockers, you had the dirges, you had the ballads, and the band was just on absolute fire. This is the back, this is the front again. The LPs themselves are black, so I'm not going to bother with that. Showing that. It also comes with an insert with the lyrics. So overall, and remastered for this 30th anniversary edition, sounds absolutely fantastic. The only, I guess, point that I would crib about, because that's something I like to do, is how a lot of these double LP reissues now come in a single pocket sleeve. So essentially, you've got both the LPs in here in that same single pocket, which can lead to seam splits. So just be careful how you want to store them. So that was Alice in Chains with their 30th anniversary reissue of their classic album Dirt. Next up is a band that I have spoken about earlier and shown earlier as well, but it is such a fantastic release that I can't help talking about it again. This is Karma to Burn, their first debut album, and probably the only album of theirs that had a vocalist, uh, mostly due to record label pressure. But yeah, this one came out originally, I think, in 1997 on Roadrunner. And this reissue, again, double LP, beautifully put together by Heavy Psych Sounds from Italy on 45 RPM. Again, they've done an absolutely bang up job with the presentation and the sound of this. Musically, of course, Karma to Burn deal with stoner rock, stoner metal, lots of Black Sabbath, but at the same time, they're also a part of, I would say, maybe a slight desert rock influence there as well, and heavy, heavy stuff, and an absolutely fabulous reissue. Next up, one of my absolute favorite black metal releases from the 2010s finally got a long awaited vinyl reissue. I'm not sure if this is a reissue or if this is the first time on vinyl, but anyway, this is Negative Plane Stained Glass Revelations. Now, as you can see, as you can probably see, the this one got really banged up on the way here. The covers got bent edges and everything else, but thankfully the LPs themselves were all right and in good condition. But what we've got here is some of the most original black metal to come out ever, really. And Invictus have done a really good job with the reissue as well. The LPs themselves are again plain black, so I'm not going to bother showing those. But it does come with a very cool booklet, and the booklet is here we go. You've got lyrics and you've got art for each of the songs, and overall, just an absolutely killer album. And very, very happy that this one's finally gotten reissued. Next up, from Music on Vinyl, another thrash classic. I think this album came out in 1991 originally. Heathen, Victims of Deception. Just a fantastic album, and also, again, for the first time ever, issued as a double LP. Right? Again, it's a single pocket sleeve and limited, I think, to 2,500 copies, if I'm not wrong. And the LP itself comes in sort of transparent yellow. And Music on Vinyl, I mean, the label itself does a terrific job with their reissues. And this is no different, except that the pressing plant messed up. So what we've got here on side A, you'll get songs from side A, and when you flip it over, you'll get songs from side C. And on the second LP, you'll get the songs from side B and then D. So listening to this is a bit of a pain, but it was a problem with the entire pressing run. Now, if you missed out on the first press of the reissue, there is a new one on the way, which is in plain black. And hopefully they've sorted out the pressing plant issue as well. You've got an insert here with the lyrics. And overall, just superbly written thrash metal. Really, really. If you're a thrash metal fan, this is an absolute must-have album. Next up, one of my all-time favorite bands, and quite possibly the greatest prog metal album ever made. That, of course, is my opinion, and you can feel free to disagree with that. But this is Voivod Nothingface, finally out on vinyl. And so back in 2016, I was at the Hellfest festival in France, wandering around the metal market on day one, and I came across an original pressing of Nothingface. It was marked at about 50 euro, and that was way beyond my budget at that time. So I was like, for 50 euro, I could probably buy three other LPs for the same price. So very reluctantly, I put this back, and I picked up the first Metal Church, a Mekong Delta, and something else, right? But then it was a decision that I always regretted, And of course, over the last few years, particularly after the pandemic, the prices have shot up in such a ridiculous way that 50 euros actually seems like a good deal now for an original press. But yeah, so when Run Out Groove, or sorry, not Run Out Groove, Real Gone Music announced that they were going to reissue this, I absolutely had to get it. Now, shipping from the US is another pain. So, what I did was the Revolver Club, one of the distros in India, has a request a record feature. And I figured, what do I have to lose? May as well. Requested it, and about 3 months later, here it was. So, big shout out to the Revolver Club for sourcing this, and just another top quality reissue from Real Gone Music, remastered sound, and a pink vinyl. Okay, so that is Nothingface by Voivod, an absolute classic album. Now, Railgun, essentially what they do is just reproduce the original press of the LP. So this is pretty bare bones in the sense that it comes in a plain inner sleeve. There are no liner notes. There's nothing at all. No extras whatsoever apart from the remastering. And but it's still such an awesome album that I am not really going to crib about that. Voivod Nothingface. Next up, Fear Factory, Soul of a New Machine. Triple LP reissue for the 30th anniversary of this album by Run Out Groove. Now, Soul of a New Machine, I heard Demanufacture around, I think probably the late 90s. And I heard this one after Demanufacture, right? Probably the early 2000s when I had this on cassette. And back then, I used to, between 2001 and 2003, I was stuck in this perpetual night shift at work where I would start at about 8 p.m. at night and I would finish at about 6 in the morning. And the drive on the way back home at 6 in the morning, this was my soundtrack for a long time, for I would say maybe 6 months. The cassette was just stuck in the tape player in the car, and it would just constantly blare out Soul of a New Machine. Just a really fun album. Still very groove metal oriented. Slight touches of death metal and slight touches of industrial, and they were on their way to creating a very unique sound. And I think at times I actually prefer this over Demanufacture because there's still a sense of there's a raw urgency to these songs, and Demanufacture, in comparison, is a little more polished and a little more accessible, I guess. Now, this 3 LP set also comes with the Fear is the Mind Killer EP, which is basically remixes of songs by Frontline Assembly's Rice Fulber, who would also go on to um, produce the band, produce Demanufacture as well. So this is actually a trifold LP. So you've got a collage with the band photos, you've got the band pic there as well, and you've got, let me see if I can open this up. You've got the lyrics and you've got the art for the Fear is the Mind Killer EP, if you can take a look at that. And overall, quite difficult to show, but a really good set and something that also sounds terrific because the original sound had a very gnarly feel to it, which is retained in this reissue. And this is number 1208. If you can see that there. But overall, yeah, something that I was absolutely thrilled to get. Next up, another reissue that I was absolutely thrilled to get, really. Well, actually, with all 10 of these, I was super happy to get these. And this is Typo Negative's final album, Dead Again. Look at that. Again from Run Out Groove Music, again a triple LP trifold release. I think this was originally released in 2007ish. So this was probably like the 15th anniversary release or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this is of it. And let me just show you the inside as well. So you've got some more art there. And the LP comes in a sort of green and black splatter. There you go. And another absolutely fantastic release. I mean, this is probably Typo's weirdest album in the sense that everything that they'd done earlier, right from Origin of Feces to Bloody Kisses, October Rust, World Coming Down, and what was the other album? Whatever. But all of those sounds culminated in Dead Again for me. There's, Sabbath inspired doom metal, there's punk, there's hardcore, there's psychedelia, there's some Beatles worship, which absolutely works, and it's all backed up by stellar songwriting. I mean, you look at songs like Tripping a Blind Man, The Prophet of Doom, September Sun, and it just goes on and on. Absolutely superb stuff. And of course, the bonus stuff, you've got some live performances as well from Wacken. And yeah, overall, Typo Negative, Dead Again, superb reissue. And finally, maybe one of the greatest death metal albums of all time. And finally got a reissue with the original artwork. And what we've got here is Demigod, Slumber of Sullen Eyes. Look at that. I mean, absolutely fantastic. This was originally released in 1992, and this is the 30th anniversary reissue from Swart, and just an amazing job. I mean, when it's Swart, you're generally dealing with a high quality product, and this is no different. But yeah, this is a package that's been put together with a whole lot of love. That's so split across. So you've got. Let me just show you what comes with this package. So you've got a superb booklet here, the oral history of Demigod. It's called Succumb to Dark, and it's put together in a very old school photocopied Zine kind of way, and with lots of reading material. And you've also got a massive poster of that artwork. And let me see if, oops, let me see if I can show this in its entirety. Look at that. I mean, this is not really going to do justice to how cool this is, but yeah, I mean, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And it's always really cool to, go back to the original artwork because Extreme Records had done a reissue on CD a while back, but for some reason the pink in the art was replaced with a sort of muddy brown. And this is Demigod, Slumber of Sullen Eyes, another superb reissue from Swart. So that's pretty much my top 10 picks for reissues of 2022. And drop a line in the comments. Tell me what your favorite reissues were for the year. Have a wonderful Christmas. Stay safe, stay metal. If you like the video, hit on the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And that's it from me. Have a good one, guys. Have a super holiday. Stay safe.